What's going on, boxing fans? Julian Williams with The Distance. I have another video for you guys today. This one is Evander Holyfield versus Muhammad Ali. I had a few people request this video to me. Actually, I had about 3 people request this video to me, so I'm gonna film this video today and post it tomorrow. Anyway, this matchup, Evander Holyfield versus Muhammad Ali. You have two successful heavyweight boxers. Both of them have won the championship, more than about 3 times or more. And really, a lot of people, when you think of this matchup, it's another comparison of eras, of course, which is like pretty much with all these fantasy matchups. But the 90s was a strong era of heavyweight boxing. Just as much of a strong era as the 70s were. But in the 90s you had a lot of prominent names. You had fighters like you had Mike Tyson, you had Burt Cooper, who was a quality heavyweight. You had Riddick Bowe, Tommy Morrison, Lennox Lewis. In the 70s you had Ken Norton, Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes was in the late 70s when he became prominent. You had Joe Frazier, George Foreman, who also fought in the 90s and fought Holyfield and Ali. And you had you even had Jerry Quarry, and you had Ernie Shavers. You had a lot of other fighters in the 70s as well as the 90s, who were prominent heavyweight boxers. So you do have 2 men that were champions in very good eras and overcame adversity. And like with Muhammad Ali, he overcame adversity in the George Foreman fight. In the George Foreman fight, there were people that thought he was going to lose, because look at what Foreman did to Ken Norton, who defeated him, and Joe Frazier. He took him out in 2 rounds. Joe Frazier was the first man to defeat Muhammad Ali that Muhammad Ali had problems trying to take out, and Foreman was able to do it in 2 rounds, and he pretty much did it with ease, just able to push him off and land his shots. And with Evander Holyfield, the man that he defeated was Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was that immovable force, unstoppable object that that pretty much ruled the late 80s and early 90s in boxing. A lot of people that refer to him as the baddest man on the planet, stuff like that. But Evander Holyfield overcame adversity as well when he stood up to him and hit him with that combination that just ended the fight in like the 11th round in '96. And that was another fight that showed that he had heart as well. So you have 2 fighters with a lot of heart. But when I think of this fight, when I think of Evander Holyfield versus Muhammad Ali, I think of a trilogy, because it just seems like one of those fights that would be a trilogy. That one fight's an upset, the other fight is you see a different pace, and then the third fight, the rubber match, is at an all-time high pace. And trilogies take a lot out of a lot of boxers. I will have a top 5 trilogies coming up. I wanted to do a top 5 this week, but I didn't really I didn't get a chance to do my studying and all that stuff. So I will definitely have it next week. You'll see top 5 welterweights, and later on you will see top 5 trilogies. But trilogies take a lot out of boxers. Just look at a lot of fighters who were in trilogies, and before the trilogies and after the trilogies, they just become totally different fighters. And on top of that, with this fight, Muhammad Ali and Evander Holyfield both had different primes. They had one prime, and they had another prime. They had like 2 different primes in their careers. Muhammad Ali's first prime ended, in like 67, 68, and Evander Holyfield's first prime ended in, I believe it ended in 1991 and 1992. One of those years, and that's when his first prime ended. So I'm going to go first prime versus first prime. Muhammad Ali, I do see just staying on the outside, and even though Evander Holyfield has a lot of power in both hands, a lot of speed in both hands, I just see Evander Holyfield chasing Ali throughout the whole fight and trying to zero in, because Holyfield did do a good job of zeroing in, and at times Holyfield did get caught did kind of get into a lot of pointless exchanges early in his career. And I do see Ali winning the exchanges. I see him, staying on the outside, using his left jab, putting his combinations together, and taking the matchup via unanimous decision. I just see him, winning the first matchup in their first prime. I'm going to say Muhammad Ali will win in the unanimous decision, because it would be hard to catch Muhammad Ali, with something with him going on the outside. So I think that Muhammad Ali does outbox him, in both fighters' first prime. I think that he outboxed him, even though Evander Holyfield had a lot of energy in that first prime. He did have a lot of power and energy, and he's a lot faster. But Ali, fought from angles, went side to side, was able to go backwards, duck, bob and weave. He was a very defensive guy, defensive fighter, So I do see Ali winning in their first prime. Second prime, when like in the era of when Ali fought like a Ken Norton, when he fought like a Ken Norton, and when he came back and fought Frazier. In the second prime, like in the 70s, I do see Evander Holyfield winning. I see Evander Holyfield winning a second fight because I'll say this. I think I see Evander Holyfield winning a second fight because Ali would have his moments where he would just stand in front. Would probably just stand in front of him. He did it with a lot of his opponents in the 70s, where he stood in front of the opponents. See, earlier in his career, he wasn't getting hit any. And but later in his career, he wasn't as fast anymore, so he got caught with some good shots. Like in the first matchup with Frazier, he got caught with some good shots, on the inside. And I just see Muhammad Ali getting driven to the ropes, and Evander Holyfield, getting the best of him in the second fight, because Holyfield, in the first fight, will know how to close the distance this time, because Holyfield did finish off very strong. And he adapted, but sometimes he would adapt late, or sometimes he would have a strong opening rounds, and then in the later rounds, he just wasn't as strong anymore. He would sometimes just get outboxed towards the end. But in a match like this, I just see Evander Holyfield taking the early round. Pretty much taking the early rounds and having a strong finish, because I think Ali would just stand right in front of him like he did in the Frazier fight, and and maybe Ali would steal rounds, but I do see a second fight being close, and Holyfield getting the unanimous decision victory in the second fight, because Holyfield did very good against fighters that stood right in front of him, and he could land his short hooks, land his short hooks, and on top of that, there would be stationary targets as well. So if you're a fighter that could land, if you could land, a short hook on him, and stay on the inside, and kind of be a target, I think Holyfield will win a second fight. Rubber match, I would give it to Muhammad Ali. I would give the rubber match to Muhammad Ali, because I think, sometimes he would have poor showings against fighters, but he would come back and have a great showing, sometimes in the second or third fight. Because usually in trilogies with Ali, like he's been in 2 trilogies, and then he's been in 2 matchups with I think he's been in 2 matches with Leon Spinks, and he was in 2 matchups with I think Jerry Quarry. But usually in the next fight, he always does much better, coming off of a loss than coming off of a win. And I just see Muhammad Ali winning the next fight. I think he'll do what he has to do to win a third win the rubber match. I just think so. I think he'll do enough to win the rubber match. I think he'll stay on the outside. I think he'll land his combinations, put his combinations together very well, and I think that he'll probably outwork Evander Holyfield to a unanimous decision. Possibly, but Holyfield has shown trouble against outside fighters, fighters that are just going to stay on the outside and keep the jab at bay. So anyway, that's my trilogy from Ali versus Holyfield. It's kind of a thought that just comes to mind if it was a trilogy. That would be a trilogy just because of the skill of Muhammad Ali. But anyway, that was Distance. Thanks for watching. Peace.